Hey everyone, this is Julian. I'm gonna make a training video on some new indicators that IQ Option has. And several of these are going to be quite effective for Forex trading. Not so much for binary. Well, it can be used for binary, but it would have more application in Forex. So there are many indicators that have been added, and some of them have really strange names. For example, there was one was like a sure thing. What was it? It was a really funny one. I think it was called. Yeah, there were a couple of here, no sure thing kind of indicators. So, like these are some of the ones that caught my eye, and let me just run them through to you. So I have them on my screen, and I will refer back to this one once in a while, and basically kind of walk you through it. So the first and foremost one that I find that's very effective is this one up here. So the one up here is the Chande Kroll indicator, and let's have a look at the description on that one. Chande Kroll stop. Okay, so this is a trend following indicator that identifies the stop loss for a long or short position by using a variation on directional movement. It's calculated on the average true range of an instrument's volatility, and the indicator comes with a long stop line and a short stop line, placing the stops under and on the high-low of the last n bars. So, what you can see on this, here you are two different stop lines. So that's the bigger stop, and the shorter stop. So, which one do you use? It depends. It's a different algorithm. Like for instance, if we see that there is a breakout, okay. Like this is a breakout to the downside, and once it breaks out to the downside, like if we did the green, it would be a very tight stop, and in this case you will already be stopped out, which is not bad because you have picked out a nice profit. However, if it was on the red line, then you would still be in the trade and probably run it to the second one. So which one's better? It really depends. If you're running with big positions, I think you probably want to go with the green line. And if you're running with like smaller positions and you are running in a longer period of time, a longer chart time, then maybe you want to go with the red line as well. They're both good. What you can do is you can use this to adjust your stop like every new bar. That doesn't make a lot of sense if you're on the M1 chart, but it makes a lot of sense if you're on the 2-hour, 4-hour, and so on, because then it would make a lot of sense to make full use of those features. Having said that, if you're going to use the green line, I highly recommend that you plus spread to your calculation. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck quite a lot of the time. Right? You're going to be stuck with like getting stopped out because of spread. So plus spread to the green line's value. You can mouse over it and get that value. Now the next one that we're going to go into is the Gopalakrishnan range index. I know the name sounds really funny. And how this comes in handy is basically that there is a line right here, and anything below that just means something that's really dead, or rather, when it takes off away from the line, you see that things are in movement. And one of the creative ways that I can already instantly think of when you use this is you can start to put some kind of a trend line between any of these 2 points, and then you could actually identify like a divergence that's happening, or rather, if you see that there is a trend taking place here, then yes, you know that a trend is taking place, and you can start to get into a trade. So like I said, this works very well with the Chande Kroll stop, because for instance, you can have it break out of the green, break beneath the green, and at around that time, that's when this line will be above the middle line. Okay, now we're going to go on to, by the way, you don't have to use all this at the same time because it can be quite overwhelming, and the reason why I'm keeping everything on my screen is just because I think it would be I might just forget which one I picked out before this. So the next one I'm going to talk about is going to be the chop zone indicator. The chop zone indicator is kind of like a oscillator, like a color oscillator. There's alligator, there's all kinds of stuff that it paints in a different color. And how this works out is, as you can see, if it's red, it's bearish. If it's blue, it's bullish. And any colors in between, it's like an indecision kind of a thing. So there you have your dark greens, your oranges, and all that. When you see color change, that is when you can start to get in for a trade. Also looking when it breaks the Kroll stop, the Chande Kroll stop line. But that wouldn't be quite enough. Okay, what you should always do, all right, this chop zone, while it's good, I would recommend that you use it in conjunction with some kind of a trend line. If you drew like a trend line over there, and then you can tell that, okay, yes, sure, when it breaks this trend line, then yep, coupled with a red, then we know that we're in business. We can start writing it down. But if it's simply gonna like go from blue to red, and it doesn't break a trend line, then nothing is really gonna happen. So that's when you're gonna find yourself constantly stuck with like buying one, selling one, buying one, selling one. It's gonna be very, very unproductive. So use the trend line with the chop zone indicator. It is good, but use it with a trend line. Similarly, over here, I'm just going to give you one more example. I'm going to put like some kind of a line between these 2 points, and once it breaks above that, you can actually start going for the call. Okay, and you can exit when it changes back to red, or you can exit when it hits the red line. Like I said, red line plus spread. Okay. You can also kind of notice what's the problem with the red line here, because so many times it will go past the line. So the proper way to use this, in my opinion, because when you're on IQ option, it's not as though you can set a stop loss to be with the line anyways. So what will be important for you is to use it like some kind of a reference point when, like, where does the candle close? Even if the candle went beneath that during the candle, but it closed above it, okay, we're still in the running. But if it closed beneath or at the line, then that's when you got to stop out. Okay. Alright guys, I decided not to feature the Ulcer Index. I mean, as interesting as it looks, I find that it doesn't really have a practical purpose, and it doesn't really show anything that is not already here on the charts. So first and foremost, it's lagging. Like, it's almost like a mirror with the markets, but it is interesting in the sense that there are points where the general direction can deviate, but the individual highs and lows kind of like happen at the same time. So I think this is pointless. I just get rid of this. Now, the last thing that I want to cover is the Bollinger Band's percent band. This one has like a graphical representation of the Bollinger Band, and that's when it becomes very, very effective. Okay, so it can be used in a couple of different ways. One of the ways that you can see it is that, like, because sometimes when we put on the Bollinger Band, like, I'm just put on one on right now, and you know that, I mean, this being 20 and 2, if it's outside, this is where it's outside, okay, and this is where it's outside, okay. So without having to look at this, you can now look at here. So if you want to keep your chart clean and uncluttered, you can have the benefit of simply leaving this on. And this obviously works more if you're using Bollinger for like reversal, okay? And you just wait for the times, then it goes to the outside, and then stand by your put trade, and it goes to the bottom side, stand by your call trade. And like, if you're wondering, okay, what are some of the ways that we can get a better percentage on this? I think a very good way is to use this in conjunction with a trend line as well, because many times, okay, what does this mean? Look, you can see that it has gone very steeply outside, and then it tapered off, and many a time it will do exactly that. It will kind of have a steep poke outside and it'll taper off. So what does that really mean? And the long point will happen where it's short, and the short point will happen where it's long. So a little bit of a divergence. So it means to say that you can do it a couple of different ways. You can use it with a trend line, or you can use it when it re-enters the line. So that would be the best way of doing it. And you can use this in conjunction with like a ATR kind of a indicator to ensure that you have a good volume. So, but the way I see it, simply put a trend line on all the candle wicks. Okay, anything closing beneath is a put, or you can wait for it to come back inside and then do your put trade over there. Okay, so this is a quick sum up of a couple of new indicators that I thought were quite cool. The one that we took off on the chart was also the Gopalakrishnan indicator, also quite good, but just wanted to clean up the chart. Okay, you have a look at that. You see, ahead of breaking the trend line, it also crossed down inside here, and that makes it a very, very good entry, very, very good for reversal traders. So if you're a binary trader, this is going to be one of the more effective indicators, because we know that Bollinger Band is kind of like a, if you use the outside of the bands, it's going to be like a overbought, oversold kind of style of trading in a very visual way, but it may not always give you a very big amount of pips for Forex, but it is definitely good for binary. So look at what happened over here, and your expiry time, this is pretty obvious. I think you can really run with this idea. And by the way, how did you like this video? So if you like videos just like this, I'm in the midst of preparing an email list where you can sign up to be on my email program. My email program is going to have like a series of tutorials, and if you're new to trading, it's going to give you all the ins and outs that you need to know to get started on trading. And the best part yet is that this is just sent totally for free to you in your email. But if at any time you want to pursue this on a higher level, you're most welcome to join us in the Binary Lab, whether it is Forex learning group that we have on every Thursday, or our binary webinar that we have on every Tuesday. Okay, so lots of information that we send out to you via email. Just get into the link at the bottom of this video, and I'll see you on the inside. Bye for now.